Okay. So this stream will be about effective altruism intro course or intro program, week 1 assignment. Is this going to be output? Maybe, or skills and knowledge. I think output is good enough for this. So, as the title said, what was the title again? Oh no, I forgot. So, doing EA intro program week 1. Is this too long? Okay, that's good. I don't know if there could be any problems with this. I haven't asked if I can do this, but I don't see why not, because if someone wants to copy this material, they would be interested for this. Yeah, sure. They would be very interested in EA. I'm not overwhelmed. Toggle sidebar, what is that? Okay. So, I already read just the beginning, but I will go through this again. My idea is that I will make notes about this, and of course while I stream I will give my reactions and yeah, first impressions of everything. Stream 37, and here again doing EA intro program week 1 assignment. Okay, that's good. And also I switched the side of the camera. This is worse, but because I changed the layout of my room a little bit, that's kind of the only angle I have. I don't want to put it the other side because it just doesn't look good and it's in my way. Introduction, intro program. I already read this, but let's go through it again quickly. So, contains a section of core materials that participants are expected to complete in advance of attending the weekly meeting in order to get the most out of the intro program. Yes. Good experience. You should enjoy, jot down a question. So this I will do. Guess that's the only kind of homework output. About the readings that you will discuss with your group during the weekly session. Facilitator. I haven't possibly said that word never before. Okay, will help you discuss. Okay, yeah. In the required reading, there are extra readings. I will do those. I don't think there is anything special about that. Generally, yeah, spare time. How to approach the intro program. We are dealing with serious topics. We'll try to approach them from a rational and inquisitive perspective. I had to Google this. What does it mean? what was it again? Wait, inquisitive. See what DuckDuckGo says. Inclined or to investigate, eager for knowledge. Curious was the alternative, yeah. So, eager to know, curious, inquisitive perspective. New evidence might force us to completely rethink our actions or approaches. Yes, so we should keep an open mind and be wary of. Yeah, I'm very much familiar with rational thinking. That's what I do. I also strongly encourage you to explore these questions from a producer rather than consumer mindset. This consumer mindset for me is a problem still, that often when I follow some event or some speech, I listen to someone, my mind just filters everything out, because I don't get some hook. I think, yeah, this I know, this I know, this I know. But if I'm asked a question, I can't answer it. I have a long time wanted to be someone who can ask questions or give feedback. The teacher always gives feedback to the student. Quarter hourly alarm. Still doing that. The teacher have to give feedback to the presenter, but I have always wondered if I can be that like if I could really give feedback and good feedback, because often I'm amazed, okay, how did you come up with that? But yeah, this is important for my development. Try to actively integrate these arguments into your own view in yes. Taking ideas seriously. Often conversations about ideas are like recreational diversions. We enjoy battling around interesting thoughts and saying smart things. Conversations about ideas are like recreational diversions. We enjoy battling around interesting thoughts and saying smart things, and then we go back to doing whatever we're doing in our life. Yeah, this is exactly what I don't want. I have experienced this enough already with people and with my conversations with them, that no value was received from that conversation. I want to do, this is a fine thing to do, but at least sometimes we think we should be asking ourselves questions like, how could I tell if this idea was true? I don't care. If it is true, what does that imply I should be doing differently in my life? That's more important. What else does it imply I'm wrong about? Sure. So I might have lost my thought. Was it about this? Yeah, so this is a hobby. It's a hobby to have smart, deep conversations with others, saying smart things. Yeah, we're so smart, and everyone else is stupid. We talk about politics, even though none of us has or is involved in that. So it's a hobby and for many, it's a way of thinking about feeling superiority. And that's useless. So it's no better than someone talking about sports, pretty much. And this, how could I tell if this idea was true? I don't really care about truth that much from conversation perspective. How would I say it? I would rather just do and then figure it out together. By actions, we reveal our intentions, our knowledge, and someone else will say, hey, or point it out if it's false or untrue in their mind. But the first step should be doing. I don't know, I just yapping here. And zooming out, where are my blind spots? Sure, which important questions should I be thinking about that I'm not? Yeah. Taking ideas seriously means wanting to make our worldviews as full and accurate as possible, since we see that having accurate beliefs allows us to make better decisions about things that we care about. I think I'm too prepared for this course, or at least I haven't received any new information, but okay, or new ways to think. Disagreements, these might be very, very good for someone who hasn't thought about it. Maybe they were introduced to this program by a friend, and yeah, and this will activate their thinking. Disagreements are interesting when thoughtful people with access to the same information reach very different conclusions from each other. We should be curious about why. Yes, of course. Often we tend to be incurious about this simply because it's so common that we are used to it. Yeah, I care a lot about why, or I notice it when someone kind of makes a mistake in my belief. Why was that? That's something I want to work on. How to fix the real issues. How someone doesn't have knowledge of something. For example, politics. That they openly argue in political matters, but they just don't have some very common knowledge. Why? Is the education failed, or has education failed them, or why? Yeah. Often we tend to be incurious about this simply because it's. But if, for example, a medical community is divided on whether treatment A or B does a better job of curing some disease, they should want to get to the bottom of that disagreement, because the right answer matters, lives may be at yes. Strong opinions weakly held. Often people abstain from trying to have opinions about things because they think things like, I'm not an expert, or it's hard to know for sure. Instead of during this intro program, we invite you to be bold enough to venture your questions, expressed clearly enough such that it's easy for someone else or evidence about the world to prove you wrong. In the long run, we hope that you will become stronger and more engaged thinkers. This seems more important than minimizing your error in the short run. Of course, my only problem is my thinking capabilities. It's not about me not being able to do this, that I avoid some feelings, but rather I just might not think anything. So it's not that I'm scared to answer, but rather I don't have an answer. Do I just say some random words? So getting my mind to think is, or has been, the biggest issue always, not the way I do it. Okay, so this is week 1. I will, of course, take longer than is the what is that word? Wait. Translate. estimate. Very common word, but just, I'm too tired. Effective altruism is a movement dedicated to finding and implementing the most impactful ways to do good. This week introduces its core ideas alongside tools for improving our reasoning and decision making. Identifying interventions that accomplish the most good is generally difficult. We often face uncertain evidence, must make subjective judgment calls, or speculate about unknown variables. This makes the quality of our reasoning as important as our intentions. Readings this week cover cognitive biases that distort our perception. Cognitive biases that distort our perception, strategies for reaching more objective conclusions, and frameworks like ITN, importance, trace, tractability, neglectedness, that help prioritize between causes. I hope that my English becomes better, my vocabulary, that I could use tractability, neglectedness, so I could use some of these terms. That's one of my bigger weaknesses, that yes, I can talk about anything, but not with specific correct terms. I have to explain using many words that simply one term could well tell. So frameworks that help prioritize between causes. By the end of this reading group, you will have a broad overview of some core ideas commonly discussed in this community. Before your first cohort meeting, complete week 1's reading. Organization Spotlight, Center for Applied Rationality. CFAR is non-profit located in California with the goal of improving problem-solving abilities by better understanding the limits of human intelligence. Okay, interesting. We all have inherent biases, make mistakes, etc., which hamper our ability to make correct decisions. Applied rationality means that they don't consider either theory or application exclusively, but rather where they both meet. Applied rationality. Theory or application, but rather where they both meet. Their insights come from external research as well as from the participants to the workshop. Yeah, I guess that's kind of close to my idea of finding the front line, that there are these two sides battling, arguing, but from the argument or their arguments, it is not clear where do they meet, where is the actual front line, because the arguments come from cities far behind the front lines. I don't know if I have explained that, but if I haven't on stream, I have talked about it on private vlogs, so I'm not going to go too much into detail. Oh, actually, it's not that difficult. I think I might have explained it here, though I don't remember. I can't navigate. Okay, now. So I'm just talking about person A, person B, or party A, party B. They have some list of arguments, and these have a list of arguments, but no progress is made because it's the distance is too long. But rather than continuing in this way, very polarizing manner, that they are just shouting some facts to them, but they are not even trying to reach themselves. From these arguments, you can't change that person's mind, but rather if you find the front line where there are some maybe fundamental questions where they base their knowledge or arguments. If you do the change here, you can make progress, but it's slow. It is slow progress, but the battle happens or can be fought here more easily than just hoping that the other one will do it completely different kind of. It's easier to do this than changing someone's opinion right away. How do you convert someone from religion A to religion B? It's pretty difficult. Can you do the full conversion by another alarm by just shouting your facts against them there, because there really isn't right or wrong. That's, or at least in these sort of arguments. I don't know, this is boring. Let's move on. But this seems interesting. Let me see. Where is the website? CFAR, Center for Applied Rationality. Very simple website. Nearly every major victory that humanity has experienced over the past 10,000 years, from agriculture to eradication of smallpox, has come from human intelligence. Over the next century, from biological weapons to AI to climate change, will also be the result, yes, as our species builds a greater foundation of knowledge and develops ever more powerful tools. Stakes are only going up, yes. Compare the best single human, yes. Resources well, yes. Or the best, okay. In the coming decades, our ability to make the world a better place is going to rise meteorically with our ability to make disaster, yes. Yet human intelligence itself remains demonstrably interesting, imperfect, and largely mysterious. We suffer from biases that still influence us even after we know they're there. We make mistakes that we have made a dozen times before, jump to conclusions, make overconfident. Yeah, maybe I'll just read this without reading it aloud, everything. Blind spots aren't, this is just yapping. Fail to follow. Zero-sum games. What is the solution? CFAR aims to create an arena where rationality geeks can come trade notes about how our minds work and about ways we're intentionally messing with how our minds work in a manner that seems to be making things better. Intentionally messing with how our minds work. That's what I'm doing. Are they talking about the same thing? We think minds, like most things, can sometimes be made better by thinking about it, creating ideas, playing around, etc. in context of fun, freedom, and accurate observation of what effects seem to be following from what experience. We think minds thinking about trading ideas, playing around. in a context of fun, so gamification, freedom, and accurate observation of what effects. Accurate observation of what effects seem to be following from what. Sure. CFR is non-profit, operating mostly remotely, originally founded in 2012 by Anna Salomon, Valentin Smith, and Andrew Rich. As of September of, we have 8 very part-time curriculum developers, instructors, and some part-time people who do accounting and venue maintenance for us. We at one point had roughly a dozen full-time staff, but we are currently operating under theory. Very part-time rationality development work is healthy for all involved, but that full-time work is more prone to going off the rails. Okay. We are low-key looking for additional very part-time rationality developers are being extremely picky. Most of our curriculum development work consists in trying things out on volunteers and each other, partly at weekly online test sessions. I didn't get the full idea of this. So what is this? Sign-ups open for September. Google Docs. Weekly free online test session. If you are interested in checking out some very unpolished, helping us refine our material for future programs. I didn't get the point. Didn't fully get the idea. Is there any? This is the mission page. They don't have any pictures. What are they talking about? Yeah, this is just organizing. So aims to create an arena, rationality geeks, how our minds work. So you're doing research, is that it? No output. But wasn't this founded 2012? Now I'm not following it. But I will try to come back to this. I have life work here. Can I show all of this? I think I can. Well, let's put it there. At least I have it somewhere and move on. But at least they didn't get me understand what's going on fully. And it was to January. What? Why does it show that? I'm not sure. Here as well. I don't really care. Okay. I could blur that after the stream, but let's move on. Maybe. This is just Spotlight. Okay. Core requires readings. So now we get to the main action. This is 30 minutes of reading. I will take a quick break before starting this. But yeah, that maybe an example. Yeah, I would have needed an example. What do they actually do? There were a lot of words here, but who was that website made for? It raised my interest for it, but didn't make me understand. I will make a quick break, although I don't want to write that again. Do I have break? Ah, that's convenient. Let me just switch the sides. That is convenient. Good. Like this. Good. Right. So I realized I need to make, or I should make notes about this. Where do I write? Wait. I have life work here. Should probably research. Effective altruism. I think I will think about this later. But just do AI intro. Week 1. Of course, I could. So what was this CFAR? CFAR. Center for Applied Rationality. Notes about this. I didn't fully grasp their mission. Let's say no examples. It seemed like they just do research themselves. in close circle. It failed, not seemed. Of course, the workshops are open. Felt. Okay. The only path is to attend a workshop. High barrier to entry. And also no exam a workshop. So right away from their mission page, there were no easy paths. But let's move on. Can I? Let's move on. This, okay. What is effective altruism? How long it took me? 36 minutes. Okay. This is their main page. I think I have read this, or part of it at least. But let's read it again. Introduction. Effective altruism is a project that aims to find the best ways. It's both a research field which aims to identify the world's most pressing problems, the best solutions, another alarm to them, and a practical community that aims to use those findings to do good. That's of course the main thing here. This project matters because while many attempt to do good fail, some are enormously effective. For instance, some charities help 100 or even 1,000 times as many people as others, given the same amount of resources. Yes, this means that by thinking carefully about the best way to help, we can do far more to tackle the world's biggest problems. Formalized by scholars at Oxford University, but has now spread around the world and is being applied to tens of thousands of people in more than 70 countries. What is that? Sorry, the page you requested could not be found, of course. Old reference. People inspired by effective altruism have worked on projects that range from funding distribution of 200 million malaria nets to academic research on the future of AI. Just pausing here to reset my brain. It's going to sleep. This example was used on the application form to academic research on the future of AI. Okay, to campaigning for policies to prevent the next pandemic. They're not united by any particular solution to the world's problems, but by way of thinking. Yes, they try to find unusually good ways of helping, so that a given amount of effort goes to unusually long way. Huh? Usually, okay, I don't fully grasp this term here. Below are some examples of what they've done so far, followed by the values that unite them. Examples of effective altruism in practice, preventing the next pandemic. Right away, I can say I don't really care about this. Why this issue? People in effect, or I don't care about using my time and resources for this. This should be use the word. Self-evident. For humanity, so no group like this, or I don't want to take part in trying to fix problem that's caused by the system. People in effective altruism typically, oh, that was not my intention. People in effective altruism typically try to identify issues that are big in scale, traceable, and unfairly neglected. Page not found. The aim is to find the biggest cat. What is the URL? Effectivealtruism.org. Up tests, intro, essay, bottom, only user content in. I don't know. The aim is to find the biggest gaps current efforts in order to find where an additional person can have the greatest impact. Okay, yeah. One issue that seems to match these criteria is preventing pandemics. Researchers in effective altruism argued as early as 2014 that, given the history of near misses, there was a good chance that a large pandemic would happen in our lifetimes. I have already forgot that. But preparing for the next pandemic was and remains hugely underfunded compared to other global issues. For instance, the US invests around 8 billion per year preventing pandemics, compared to around 280 billion per year spent on counter-terrorism over the last decade. It's not going to do anything. Much less has been spent on preventing, 8 billion. Preventing terror attacks is certainly important, but the scale of the issue seems smaller. For instance, just to focus on the number of deaths in the last 50 years, around 500,000 people have been killed by terrorism, but over 21 million people were killed by COVID-19. Really? It was that high? Interesting. I don't remember it was that high amount, or considering the 40 million killed by HIV/AIDS. Okay, not to mention a future pandemic could easily be much. I think, yeah, just I know some examples of what's been done. In 2016, Open Philanthropy Foundation, inspired by effective altruism, became the largest funder of the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, which is one of the few groups doing research to identify better policy responses to pandemics, and was an important group in the response to COVID-19. Members of the community founded One Day Sooner, a non-profit that advocates for human challenge trials. In this type of vaccine trial, healthy volunteers are deliberately infected with the disease, enabling near instant testing. 30,000 volunteers and played an important role. Human challenge trial. Okay, yes. Members of the effective altruism committee helped to create the Apollo program for biodefense, multi-billion-dollar policy proposal designed to prevent the next pandemic. Is it the Apollo program for biodefense? Biological threats. September 2021. Biodefense Commission. Okay. Providing basic medical supplies in poor countries. Why this issue? It's common to say that charity begins at home, but in effective altruism, charity begins where we can help the most. And this often means focusing on the people who are most neglected by the current system, which is often those who are more distant from us. Over 700 million people live on less than $1.90 per day. In contrast, An American living near the poverty line lives on 20 times as much. The average American college graduate lives on about 107 times as much. This places them the top 1.3% of income, globally speaking. These amounts are already adjusted for the fact that money goes further in poor countries. 100 times, okay. But okay, well, it didn't say anything about how to help yet. Maybe it comes here, but by providing them money, it's not the correct way. Providing them food, of course, if there is catastrophe or something, that's good, but the best way is to focus on education opportunities, and especially, well, everyone uses Africa, for example, and just takes their resources, keeps their people poor. They don't educate those people, they don't hire them. The employees comes from elsewhere and just takes them, or even if they mine the materials, they are forced to just give the materials or sell them and not refine it there, because that would create factories in those countries. But yeah, that's, I haven't really researched that much, but it's also something I don't care directly. Global income inequality is extreme. Yes. Because of this, transferring resources to the very poorest people in the world can do a huge amount of good. Okay. In richer countries like the US and UK, governments are typically willing to spend over 1 million to save a life. This is well worth doing, but in the world's poorest countries, the cost of saving a life is far lower. GiveWell is an organization that does in-depth research to find the most evidence-backed and cost-effective health and development projects. It discovered that while many aid interventions don't work, let me go down the rabbit hole. GiveWell research for the charities that save or improve lives the most per dollar. It's the first worst top research where to give free for everyone. We recommend a small number of charities to an incredible amount of good. Give me an example. Give me an example. Where is the example? Explore our top charities. Maybe it's here. Medicine to prevent malaria. Okay. Malaria supplements to prevent vitamin A deficiency. Childhood vaccines. Okay, so it's medical, yeah. Not a surprise. Where are the vaccines developed? If malaria happens in Africa mostly, or Southern Asia, shouldn't the factories and knowledge be there? If not, is the direction at least to that? I don't know. And this is some article, paper, note on this page. Public. Okay. Projects can fail if they're not well suited to local conditions. I want to. Okay. India provide computer kiosks in rural areas. The evaluation publication said this program was hit hard by lack of electricity and poor connectivity, and that currently only a few of the kiosks have provided commercially viable. Say without apparent irony following the success of the initiative. Okay. Some like providing insecticide treated bed nets can save a child's life for about 5,500 euros on average. Insecticide treated bed nets. $5.5 grand. Why is it that? Maybe I don't understand what this is. Okay. 180 times. That's from the million. Another alarm. These basic medical interventions are so cheap and effective that even the most prominent age skeptics agree they are worthwhile. So what is this? Providing... What is this? Yeah, that was what that's what I thought it was. Can save child's life for about 5,000 on average. Yeah, I just don't get what's the why the cost is so much. Seems like that one net is worth $5,500. But yeah, I don't get it. Anyways, that's just an example. Some examples of what's been done. Over 110,000 individual donors have used research to contribute more than 1 billion to its recommended charities supporting organizations like Against Malaria Foundation. Is this based in Africa? Maybe the research labs and everything is so expensive, so new. The resources are only in other countries, places, but I don't know. It has distributed over 200 million insecticide-treated bed nets. Collectively, these efforts are estimated to have saved 159,000 lives. 200 million bed nets. 159,000. Okay, so that's, what is it? 0.1%. But I guess because they need to use them all the time. It's not like if they don't have it, they immediately die. Okay, yeah. In addition to charity, but the cost of those is a question mark. In addition to charity, it's possible to help the world's poorest people through business. Wave is a technology company funded by members of the effective altruism community, which allows people to transfer money to several African countries faster and several times more cheaply than existing services. It's especially helpful for migrants sending money home to their families, and has been used by over 800,000 people in countries like Kenya, Uganda, and Senegal. In Senegal alone, Wave has saved its users hundreds of millions of dollars in transfers fees. Okay, I don't need to look at that any further. Helping to create the field of AI alignment research. What is the issue? People in effective altruism often end up focusing on issues that seem counterintuitive, obscure, or exaggerated. But this is because it's more impactful to work on the issues that are neglected by others, all else equal. And these issues are almost by definition going to be unconventional ones. One example is the AI alignment problem. Artificial intelligence is progressing rapidly. The leading AI systems are now able to engage in limited conversation, solve college level maths problems, explain jokes, generate extremely realistic images from text, and do basic coding. None of this was possible just 10 years ago. The ultimate goal of the leading AI labs is to develop AI that is as good as or better than human beings on all tasks. It's extremely hard to predict the future of technology, but various arguments and expert surveys suggest that this achievement is more likely than not this century. According to standard economic models, once general AI can perform at human level, technological progress could dramatically accelerate. The result would be an enormous transformation, perhaps of significance similar to or greater than the Industrial Revolution in the 1800s. If handled well, this transformation could bring about abundance and prosperity for everyone. If handled poorly, it could result in an extreme concentration of power in the hands of a tiny elite. Yes. In the worst case, we could lose control of the AI systems themselves, unable to govern beings with capabilities far greater than our own. We would find ourselves with as little control over future as chimpanzees have control over theirs. This means this issue could not only have a dramatic impact on the present generation, but also on all future generations. This makes it especially pressing from a long-termist perspective. School of thinking which holds that improving the long-term future is a key moral priority of our time. Long-termist. How to ensure AI systems continue to further human values even as they become equal or superior to humans in their capabilities is called the AI alignment problem. Wait. I have, of course, heard this many times before. For years, how to ensure AI systems continue further human values even as they become equal, or is called AI alignment problem. So how they keep human values, and solving it requires advances in computer science. Despite its potentially historical importance, only a couple of hundred researchers work on this problem compared to tens of thousands working to make AI systems more powerful. Yes. I will read first and then come back to it. The AI alignment. far more research. Okay. It's hard to sum up the case for the issue in a few paragraphs, so if you would like to explore more, we would recommend start it here, here, and here. Let me quickly look those up. Vox, this is an article. I accept. Become a member. Nope. Risks from power-seeking AI systems. I can already. The most important century. Cold takes. Because I have used AI already, I'm familiar with the risks and I know its importance. Some examples of what's been done in one priority is to simply tell more people about the issue. The book Super Intelligence was published in 2014, making the case for the importance of AI alignment and became a New York Times bestseller. Well, another priority is to build research field focused on this problem. For instance, AI pioneer Stuart Russell and others inspired by effective altruism founded the Center for Human Compatible AI at UC Berkeley. This research institute aims to develop a new paradigm of AI development in which the act of furthering human values is central. Yes, others have helped to start teams focused on AI alignment at major AI labs such as DeepMind and OpenAI. I wonder how much they do that these days. The outline research agendas for AI alignment in works as concrete problems in AI safety. I'll just quickly look at safety at okay. They're so big that you don't know if that's just a marketing and farming example. So AI alignment, what do I think about it is that by focusing on what I very likely will focus on, communication, collaboration, learning, psychology, that will help the most for this matter. That right now the problem is not to get individual people interested. Where I saw the numbers here, where are they? So it's not about 2020, okay. So it must be much higher. It's not about becoming 301st researcher, but rather trying to bring 10,000 new researchers to this. And even if, or what is the goal of this? Even if researchers find that, hey, this AI did this bad, needs to do, or this doesn't work, the companies that are pushing AI forward, they just fix it. That years of research might be forgotten in a day or a week. So then the journey to try to discover some other point to slow down the AI research or guide it starts. But my take is that if there is more work done on communication and on politics, that will make it much easier for these researchers to actually change something. So it needs that communication layer and proper media to work. And one example is by helping to make helping or collaborating easier, faster. It would create much more researchers' awareness and yeah, have a huge impact. But of course, everyone has their parts. I don't know if I explained this how badly. But pretty much the problem here, why I don't write notes, is everything I read, I already think the same. That these examples of how important this matter is, they're not changing my goals, because I already know them. Okay. Maybe the discussions, weekly discussions, or some other entity will change my mind, but at least not this. Ending factory farming. Why this issue? People in effective altruism try to extend their circle of concern, not only to those living in distant countries or future generations, but also to non-human animals. Nearly 10 billion animals live and die in factory farms in the US every year, often unable to physically turn around their entire lives or castrated without anesthetic. Lots of people agree we shouldn't make animals suffer needlessly, but most of this attention goes towards pet shelters in the US. About 1,400 times more animals pass through factory farms than pet shelters. Yes. Despite this, pet shelters receive around 5 billion per year in the US, compared to only 97 million advocacy to end factory farming. That's not very much. 97 million. This is also very surprising. Pet shelters. Okay. Yeah, new information. This is odd. Some examples of what's been done. One strategy is advocacy. The Open Wing Alliance, which received significant funding from funders inspired by effective altruism. I read this Right Wing Alliance and I was like, what? Developed a campaign to encourage large companies to stop buying eggs from caged chickens. Today, they have won over 2,200 commitments, and as a result, over 100 million birds have been spared from cages. Okay. Another strategy is to create alternative proteins, which, if made cheaper and tastier than factory farmed meat, could make demand disappear. In factory farming, the Good Food Institute is working. My mind was somewhere else when I read this. Alternative proteins, okay. And yes. Tastier. Okay. demand disappear, ending factory farming. Another strategy is to create. I was like, what are already tastier than meat? I can't really think of one. The texture is very, very difficult to win over completely, because every food has their point, and the Good Food Institute is working to kickstart this industry. Is it still going? Reimagining protein. Resilient world. Engage. Think tank. Alternative proteins. I would love to have lab-grown meat in Finland, but unfortunately there's none. I guess there's more interest in just cutting meat completely. Hold it with me. Okay. Companies like Dow Foods in China and Good Catch in the US encouraging big businesses to enter the industry, including JBS, the world's largest meat company, and securing tens of millions of dollars government support. That's quite little amount. Open Philanthropy was an early investor in Impossible Foods, which created the Impossible Burger. Still going? No. Wait, it is still going? I don't know. An entirely vegan burger that tastes much more like meat and is now sold in Burger King. Maybe I have tasted that. Improving decision making. Why this issue? People who want to do good often prefer to react. Okay, this is now new chapter. Ending factory farming. So this is an interesting one, that there are at least two arguments to end it. One is it's bad for the environment. Meat industry is not good. And also from moral perspective, for some people it's bad, that they don't like seeing animals being hurt. I don't know how universal, how common is that it's an issue to see an animal suffering. In my case, I don't feel that. If I see an animal suffering, I don't feel that much. But I'm home vegan. I try to choose vegan wherever I go. Still because I can do that choice easily. Food is not that important for me, but the point is that I don't really feel that much compared to many others who make the the switch to veganism or just plant or vegetarian because they don't like to see and feel the animals being hurt. But yeah, I have very little to say here. I don't find this for myself important to focus on. I will still make my part and be a vegan, think about the marketing of that and so on. I have many comments about veganism, but not today. I'm not going to go deeper into that topic. Improving decision making. Why this issue? People who want to do good often prefer to directly tackle problems since it's more motivating to see the tangible effects of their actions. But what matters is that the world gets better, not that you do it with your own two hands. So people applying effective altruism often try to help indirectly by empowering others. Okay. Yeah, and this is definitely the case with me. In the perfect world, I don't want to do this at all. I'm not interested to go into politics and try to change the system and so on. I don't care who does it. If no one does it, then I will do it. But yeah, I don't have this problem. I know many do, that it's important for them that they are the one who got the idea or made the change. I'm just happy if the world becomes better and yeah. One example of this is by improving decision making, namely if key actors such as politicians, private and third sector leaders, or grant makers at funding bodies were generally better at making decisions, society would be in a better position to deal with a whole range of future global problems, whatever they turn out to be. Yes. So, if we can find new, neglected ways to improve the decision making of important actors, that could be a route to having a big impact. And it seems like there are some promising solutions that could achieve this. Really quite. Some examples of what's been done. Many global problems are exacerbated. Huh? Exacerbate. I don't think I have ever seen this. To increase the severity, violence, or bitterness of. Aggravate. Yes. Exacerbate. Render more violent or bitter. I don't know if I will ever use that. Exacerbate. Exacerbated by a lack of trustworthy information. Yes. Miraculous is a forecasting technology platform that identifies important questions such as the chance of Russia invading Ukraine, aggregates forecasts made by hundreds of forecasters and weights them by their past accuracy. Miraculous gave a probability of the Russian invasion of Ukraine of 47% by mid-January 2022, 80% shortly before the invasion on 24th of February time when many pundits, journalists, and experts were saying it definitely wouldn't happen. Yeah, that time I wasn't following news. I had started my self-development journey. I was probably making vlogs. I still remember waking up and getting the news that Russia has started its invasion of Ukraine, and I had an online lecture, I think. It was interesting, yes. Not the lecture, but reading the news. Very sad. The Global Priorities Institute at the University of Oxford does foundational research at the intersection of philosophy and economics into how key decision makers can identify the world's most pressing problems. It has helped to create a new academic field of global priorities research, creating research agenda, publishing tens of papers, and helping to inspire relevant research at Harvard, NYU, UT, Austin, Yale, Princeton, and elsewhere. Next alarm. Global Priorities Institute. Foundational research. How key decision makers can identify okay. Global Priorities Institute. Did it end? Closed at the end of July. A lot of data. What principles unite effective altruism? I think right now I have spent 50 minutes on this. At least double, I assume that this will take this paper or this article. What principles unite effective altruism? Effective altruism isn't defined by the projects above, and what it focuses on could easily change. What defines effective altruism are the principles that underpin its search for the best ways of helping others. Scope sensitivity. We are committed to prioritizing actions that benefit more lives over actions that benefit fewer. The difference between saving 1 billion lives and saving 10 isn't just a matter of degree, it's a fundamental difference in scale that should guide decisions about where to focus our efforts. Impartiality. We aim to assist those who need it most without giving extra weight to people who are similar to us or geographically close. This approach often points us toward supporting people in developing countries, non-human animals, and future generations whose needs might otherwise be overlooked. Approach often points us towards supporting people in developing countries, non-human animals. Okay. Scout mindset. We can help others more effectively when we work together, think clearly, to orient toward truth rather than defending or existing ideas. Since humans naturally struggle with biases, motivated reasoning, we try to cultivate intellectual humility by testing our beliefs and updating our views when presented with contrary evidence. Yes. Recognition of trade-offs. Because our time and money are limited, the choice to support one cause means not supporting another. Acknowledge these opportunity costs and try to make deliberate decisions about how to allocate our resources. Recognizing that saying yes to one intervention often means saying no to others that might also do good. These principles are not absolutes. I didn't think about this. Recognition trade-off. So compromising or making a choice. Yeah. These principles are not absolutes and could change, but we think they are important and undervalued by society at large. Anyone applying these principles is trying to find better ways to help others, is participating in effective altruism. This is true no matter how much time or money they want to give or which issue they choose to focus on. Yes, it's often possible to achieve more by working together, and doing this effectively requires high standards of honesty, integrity, and compassion. Effective altruism does not mean supporting ends justify the means reasoning. Does not mean supporting ends justify means reasoning, but rather is about being a good citizen while ambitiously working towards a better world. Yes. Effective altruism can be compared to the scientific method. Science is the use of evidence and reason in search of truth. Even if the results are unintuitive or run counter to tradition, effective altruism is the use of evidence and reason in search of the best ways of doing good. Yes, the scientific method is based on simple ideas, e.g. Wait. How do you... What is it? IE. I'm used to hearing IE all the time. That is, for example, e.g. it's punctuated. E.g. E.g. No one says that. I.e. for example.
E.g. E.g.
This is odd, well, e.g. For some reason, I don't remember that ever. No one says it. It's e.g. e.g. They say for example, or i.e. I hear a lot, but I haven't thought about this before. Do people actually say e.g.? The scientific method is based on simple ideas. For example, you should test your beliefs, but it leads to a radically different picture of the world, e.g. quantum mechanics. Likewise, effective altruism based on simple ideas that we should treat people equally and it's better to help more people than fewer, leads to an unconventional and ever-evolving picture of doing good. yeah, it's not straightforward. How can you take action? People interested in effective altruism most often attempt to apply the ideas in their lives by choosing careers that help tackle pressing problems or by finding ways to use their existing skills to contribute to these problems, such as by using advice from 80,000 hours. I guess. It's a website. I will check this later. Donating to carefully chosen charities, such as by using research from starting new organizations that help tackle pressing problems, helping to build communities tackling pressing problems. See a longer list of ways to take action. I will quickly see this list. Volunteering, I have read this. Wait, no. Contribute your time. Volunteering internships and part-time roles. Read the career guide. Career advising. High impact job. Get matched with opportunities based on your skills and interest. Okay, yeah, that's give it to outstanding charities. Can do forum. Okay, connect with others. Forum, conference, online event. Start something new. High impact charity, EA group. About cause, areas, and decide what matters to you. Intro course, of course, that's what I'm doing. Course to work on. Books, videos, okay. Yeah, this is good stuff. The above are not exhaustive. You can apply effective altruism no matter how much you want to focus on doing good and in any area of your life. Matters is that no matter how much you want to contribute, your efforts are driven by the 4 values above and try to make your efforts as effective as possible. Typically, this involves trying to identify big and neglected global problems, the most effective solutions to those problems, and ways you can contribute to those solutions with whatever time or money you are willing to give. By doing this and thinking carefully, you might find it's possible to have far more impact with those resources. It really is possible to save hundreds of people's. Not reading this with thought. By doing this and thinking carefully, you might find it's possible to far more impact with those resources over your career, and by teaming up with others in the community, you can play a role in tackling some of the most important issues civilization faces today. This work is licensed. Creative Commons attribution. Okay. Footnotes. You can see global distribution of AI group. Here is the link, I guess. That was what I was trying to do. No. Wait. You can see the global distribution of AI global ineffective launching forum. Let's quickly check that. Yeah, I don't share my. Okay, so here. Nice. Good. Less neglected an issue, the more the best opportunities will have been taken So the harder it will be for an additional person to take an impact. There are good reasons to expect that returns to investment in an issue are roughly logarithmic. That if 10 times more has been invested in one cause compared to another, then additional results will achieve about 1/10 as much progress. If the two issues are equally important and then an additional person working on the more neglected one will have 10 times the impact, yes. From 2010 to 2019, this federal funding for health security is estimated at 141 billion. 55% of this was spent on what could arguably prevent future pandemics. For example, 4% was spent tackling the ongoing Ebola epidemic, which provided infrastructure for potential other pandemics. However, 70% was spent on chemical and nuclear radiation threats in a way unlikely to affect future pandemic spread. Wait. Billion? Wait. Another 50 minutes has passed. Global pandemic. No. Was it here? Over 20. Okay. I'm using too much time here. It's not effective. Analyzed over 10-year period. Okay. Okay. I think I'm done here. So let me go back. I must admit I didn't have any question coming from this. So no notes. It's kind of self-explanatory. Maybe I could take notes what I thought was most important for me. Did I get any new ideas? Not really, but that's because I have already looked into effective altruism a little bit. Maybe I read this whole article, I don't remember what I did before that EA summit, or no, EA conference that I joined online in December. But I already spent twice the amount of time reading this. Check. How to measure anything. Chapters 1 and 2. People often fall into the trap of thinking that because some things seem difficult or impossible to measure, all choices are equally bad or good. This book argues for the value of quantifying observations to prove or disprove our assumptions and provides methods to quantify phenomena. 50 minutes. Okay. Let's see what this is. Can I show it? How to measure anything. Freshened up. Okay. AI summary, really. Good job, Firefox. You added AI. Create an audio overview. Okay. So Douglas W. Hubbard. How to measure anything. Finding the value of intangibles in business. 3rd edition. More than 60,000 copies sold. Dedicate this book to the people who are my inspirations for so many things. To my wife, Janet, and to our children, even Madeline and Stephen, show every potential for being Renaissance people. I also would like to dedicate this book to the military men and women of the United States, so many of whom I know personally. I've been out of the Army National Guard for many years. I hope my efforts at improving battlefield logistics for the US Marines by using better measurements have improved their effectiveness and safety. Okay. Just quickly looking through what is in front of me. And chapter 2. These are only, okay. Only 1 and 2 chapters. This possibly I can't show, but yeah, I showed the link. It's good that no one watches my stream. Challenge when you can measure. Okay. Or am I too tired to tackle this? When you can measure what you're speaking about and express it in numbers, you know something about it. But when you cannot express it in numbers, your knowledge is of a meager and unsatisfactory kind. It may be the beginning of knowledge, but you have scarcely in your thoughts advanced the state of science. Lord Kelvin. Anything can be measured if something can be observed, lends itself to some type of measurement method. No matter how fuzzy the measurement is, it's still a measurement if it tells you more than you know before. And those very things most likely to be okay. I'm not too tired to start this. Seen as immeasurable are virtually always solved by relatively simple measurement methods. The start of this book indicates we'll discuss how to find the value of those things often called intangibles in business. The reader will also find that the same methods apply outside of business. In fact, many analysts and I have had the opportunity to apply quantitative measurements to problems as diverse as military logistics, government policy, and interventions in Africa for reducing poverty and hunger. Like many hard problems in business or life in general, seemingly impossible measurements start with asking the right questions. Then, even once questions are framed the right way, managers and analysts may need a practical way to use tools to solve problems that might be perceived as complex. So in this first chapter, I will propose a way to frame the measurement question and describe a strategy for solving measurement. In this first chapter, I will propose a way to frame the measurement question and describe a strategy for solving measurement problems with some powerful tools. The end of this chapter will be an outline of the rest of the book, building further on these initial concepts. But first, let's discuss a few examples of these so-called intangibles. Okay, page 4. The alleged intangibles. There are two common understandings of the word intangible. It's routinely applied to things that are literally not tangible, i.e. not touchable physical objects, yet are widely considered to be measurable. Things like time, budget, patent ownership, and so on are good examples of things cannot literally touch, though they are observable in other ways. In fact, there is a well-established industry around measuring so-called intangibles, such as copyright and trademark valuation. But the word intangible has also come to mean utterly immeasurable in any way at all, directly or indirectly. It is in this context that I argue that intangibles do not exist, or at the very least could have no bearing on practical decisions. If you are an experienced manager, you have heard of the latter type of intangibles in your own organization, things that presumably defy measurement of any type. The presumption of immeasurability is in fact so strong that no attempt is even made to make any observation that might tell you something about the alleged immeasurable that you might be surprised to learn. Here are a few examples. The flexibility to create new products, the value of information, the risk of bankruptcy, management effectiveness, the forecasted revenues of a new product, the public health impact of a new government environmental policy, the productivity of research, chance of a given political party winning the White House, the risk of failure of an information technology project, quality of customer interactions, public image, the risk of famine in developing countries. So these are, all of these can be measured in numbers. Flexibility to create new products. Of course, it can be measured in numbers. What I fear is I'm falling asleep because it doesn't teach anything new, but it's almost 11 p.m. Maybe I should stop. I should probably stop because I don't have the right mindset reading this. Because even if I read this, I could say that, hey, I didn't learn anything. Is that a problem? That was mentioned here in the what is it here. We also strongly encourage you to explore these questions from a producer rather than consumer mindset. What sort of mindset should I have with this? One could be that I'm able to summarize this chapter 1 and 2 at the end of it. That if I really didn't learn anything new, then tell about it. Can I comment on it? Because it wasn't difficult to read. How should I approach this? That every one of these concepts I'm familiar with. And I don't know, this might bring something new, but my mindset is kind of that, hey, I know what I'm doing already. So what do I want to get out of this? Well, Yeah, I should think about this. Intro chorus. So maybe I should have started with this. What do I want to get out of this program? Question mark. Learn if there is something I don't already know and haven't considered. Maybe that will change my future plans. That's one point, that it's important to get a feeling that, okay, this is what this community does, and now I know, I have good understanding of what people do, so that I can choose maybe to go with my initial idea, plan, or then now I know better to choose this instead. So this is at least the mindset that I'm doing this right now. That I'm reading this, I'm understanding what's said here, and I'm kind of trying to find something new. That, hey, this idea I didn't know. But I also have very strong assumption that I'm not going to learn anything new that's fundamental. That the only thing that I would learn is details. That, okay, this particular community exists, or this website. That's my assumption that I will find, and it goes to this category. Okay, what else? Knowledge of this program. So how is a new member introduced? What is the way? I'm interested in this. That this experience teaches me what is the current way. Is this easy? What is the requirements? Being able to read. Requirement 1. That's very important requirement. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's very good that I'm doing this, at least now, because this is also a test of this program. How do I feel that this experience has been so far? A lot of reading from the step 1. A lot of reading. It's mandatory. Of course, probably people who already get this far, they do read. But just a point that it's a lot of reading. I haven't seen any videos yet. There is videos here, or at the next reading part there is an option to watch video summary. So that will be there, but before that 30 minutes, 50 minutes. And if you read and go slowly as I have, it's double. Probably not double here. Try to speed up, but yeah, a lot of reading. So there could have been a few videos, or video, text, video, text, video, text, to get started, and then so this is one important thing. What other is networking. So by joining this community, EA community, I will find like-minded people. Is this intro course mandatory for that? No, but it's very helpful. Also, in 2 days, I will have the first weekly meeting, and there I will meet new people. What else? This is an opportunity to develop myself. And on what areas? Well, one example is, can I read this and then give a summary what I just read? If it is self-explanatory to me, if I didn't learn anything new, I should be able to summarize. If I take a role of a teacher, guide, counselor, I don't know. If I rate this paper, this book, these chapters, if I gave a rating, if I gave feedback, what would that feedback be? That I'm now still, I'm in a mindset where I just test this knowledge to my existing plan. And I'm very, very certain that I will continue on my own path that I have chosen. This won't change that. But it doesn't mean I couldn't get more out of this. My mind is lazy. I'm lazy. By default, I subconsciously want to forget every information. I hate remembering information, or facts. I care about understanding the bigger picture and concepts over specifics. So this is an opportunity to develop myself on areas focus. Anything. Expand my vocabulary. Why that's important is because ability to understand others and have philosophical conversations. Philosophical, that could mean anything here, but just being able to have conversations with others, if they use vocabulary that each of them knows. I'm the only one who doesn't know some word. I can't be part of that properly. I can still say my own thoughts, explain them my way. I have done that so far and I can do that in the future, but it's not effective if it takes me 1 minute to explain something that someone else could explain in 15 seconds because they use few terms that they don't need to overly explain. So definitely this. I already searched some vocabulary. I didn't mark them down. That was my mistake. Okay, what are other opportunities there are? You are focusing on understanding anything. And then, of course, here some summarizing to test my that's the issue with me, that I might know stuff, but I'm not able to share it because how it's stored in my mind, it's not using facts, it's not using words, it's concepts. That I have a feeling that I know how this works. I don't know why, how exactly. I can't prove it, but because it doesn't matter to my decisions, then my mind, it doesn't have that function. And it's clear why I have never needed to do that. When someone experiences some event in their lives, they might subconsciously want to store that story or start to think about the story or the event, how they could explain that to someone else. Hey, I want to share what happened today. I went here and this happened. But I don't have that urge to wanting to tell the story doesn't automatically come. I have to focus on it. Hey, what if I told what happened? So this is very good skill, I would say, especially in my path that I have chosen, to be able to explain, not just explain my opinions, but give a monologue, give a lecture. Give a monologue. And that is its own topic itself. How I can give a long speech. I have difficulty in thinking ahead before I say. So that is, that I want to improve. but not in this course. It's not necessary. I'm just mentioning it here. An opportunity. So what other opportunity there is? And of course, yeah, this first part included that. Also, knowing there aren't gaps is valuable. Meaning that if I validate that, okay, my knowledge was correct before, that these 10 are, for example, these 10 options are the best ones that people do and have done, that there weren't 11th. Okay, networking, that I don't need to expand. So increase my knowledge. Also test this program. Self-development. Yet another alarm. What else? I could develop the way I go through this, of course. But yeah, that's not the important part. What other thing I would get out of this experience? Okay, I could list it here. Developing my working skills. Just how quickly I'm able to grasp some idea. How quickly I'm reading. My mind wants to shut. My mind wants to shut down. I will end this stream soon, but before I end, I want to think about what to change. So now I have wrote down some areas that I will get, some things I will get from this program. And as I said, my mindset has not been good. What is the most important thing to change first? Networking, that will happen. Don't need to worry about that. Knowledge of the program itself, I don't need to think about too much. Maybe I could make notes more, but it's not like, well, this is not that important maybe, but it's a plus that, hey, I will make this program, I will test it as I go. Maybe I could give feedback from it. and suggestions. So keep this in mind, but no, doesn't need any change. Learn if there is something, and this as well is something I'm already doing automatically. So these first three I don't need to change, but here expand my vocabulary. So one change immediately I want to do is improve my English. So do I have English here? No, that's a problem. So let's ping that and let's put English. I have to do, I'm not going to do that now. Not that either. Website, no, not important. Okay. Now opinions on matters. Okay. So English. Start, expand this list. Can I right now write something? Do I remember? I can't think of any. How long does it take to find some intangible? Okay, that can be one. Huh? I already misspelled. Tangible. But that was just an example. So now I have expanded this list. Good. In the future, I will try to use these in sentences and get them to my everyday vocabulary. Intangible, not countable. Ability to understand others. Yes. Focusing and understanding anything. Right now I'm tired. That's one reason why it's difficult, but is that really, even if I weren't tired reading this paragraph, like two common understandings of the word intangible. I don't remember reading this. Was this an important part? Or is this important? Could I summarize? Could I use this in my summary? No. Physical objects. So this is the mindset of the producer, that if I were to write this, how would I write it? and asking the question why this is said. If it's self-explanatory to me, why was this even then explained? That to whom this is. If I didn't read went on, would I miss something? Is there a connection issue? Maybe. Yeah, so the mindset and working skills, time management. Time management. For example, I spent 2 hours 60 minutes doing this stream. How much did I learn? How much value did I bring to myself or to possible watcher? Did I document my journey? Am I talking too much? Could I just lay it here that, hey, I will not read this and then talk about my ideas, my foundings? Or should I continue? So being effective, and not just in terms of, well, this program, but connected to my life as well. I used 2 hours in my life for this. Is it important? I shouldn't. I'm so used to having only one simple plan and life, that I can choose one topic and then just focus on that. I don't do comparison between what I should do, what I get most out of. I just do it. And then suddenly I live in the future, or time pass, and it doesn't feel that I lost anything. I have lived most of my life, maybe my whole life, feeling that the choices I make, they don't matter because I want to play some game or read a book. If I read the book and then what to do, I can choose this game now. I didn't lose that. It wasn't that, hey, I need to choose one or the other. But now this is a choice. I spent 2 hours for this. Maybe I could have read this way quicker, like it was intended, or it was the word again. Estimated. Do I need to add that? Probably yes. So what was estimated here, I could have been done already. So am I using way too much time in the beginning? Trying to do this properly, although I'm not trying to do this properly. I would do this the same way even if I didn't speak, didn't stream, but of course faster, but I would do all the steps, I think. But that's the old way. I'm not even thinking of whether I should do this way quicker. That now, right now, I'm following some guide, but it's for everyone. Of course, there's stuff that someone knows already, but someone doesn't. So it's important to have that information. But it's not important that everyone reads that. Hey, if you know about this exact example, you don't have to read it. So I'm very bad at that. I'm still in a student mindset that says, hey, do this. But this program is not study related. I'm not a student anymore. This is voluntary course or program. I choose to spend my time on this, knowing that I don't get any money out of it. Although I will get a lot out of this, but still, there are alternatives. Maybe I could have done this in 30-minute section, 30-minute segments instead of 2, 3, 4 hours. So definitely a time management and priority. In life. So I shouldn't compare this to the program, what I do it, how much I spend time on each of these compared to what it was estimated, rather in broader sense, that I just spend 2.5 hours of my life on this Monday to this. This of course applies to all other work that I do. It sounds stupid to even talk about this, think about this, but I am stupid. Sadly, so are everyone else. That even things like this, so basic stuff, is still not happening automatically, that I prioritize. Yeah. Well, I'm still building my life. What is important is that I think about this, I notice this, and I develop further. I think before I end, I will take half an hour or so to talk about something else. So this is life management. Wait. It should have been life work category. Of course, I forgot that it was there. But this will be skills and knowledge, or actually or life management. What I'm going to start. Clearly this category system is broken or not finished. Life management. I'll put this on. Yeah, let's put it on life management. It's both really 2 and 4, but yeah. So my current development status. Develop. Maybe where I'm in myself. Now. Okay. And then I will make a quick break. Starting another yapping. Okay. Let's continue. I'll write this first here. What was it? Where I'm self-development. Wait, where I'm in my self-development. Ah, okay, fine. isn't perfectly worded, but I don't remember what I mentioned on previous log, but didn't go in that deep into this consciousness. I ended my private vlogs, something I have done for more than 4,000 hours, and for 4 years it had became very much the safest space for me, or state rather, that people have these things. What is the default in their lives? For some it's food, it's eating. For some it's company, it's being with someone. That certain someone brings peace and safety, feeling of safety. Some it's smoking cigarettes. It might be anything. Entertainment, watching movie, listening to music. That's their safe place. For me, it has been the state where I think aloud. I start vlog video recording myself and I just yap. That has been my safest place, because on that state I can allow myself to be conscious, and I have had this ability to feel good or be able to raise my happiness level if I am conscious. So during that state, it's very difficult for me to feel unhappy or anxious. The anxiousness happens when I'm less conscious. So that has been my go-to place. I come home after some event or some occasion, longer period, I would start a vlog. I would start yapping. And I ended that. I have tried that before, maybe 2 or 3 times. First time over 2 years ago when I started IRAC, birth of IRAC. I tried to stop making videos because the idea was that I'm so much more productive if I don't talk every idea, each thought aloud. I will become more productive, but it's more difficult. If I just keep talking, I can focus on something for 10 hours. But if I tried that just by thinking, I wouldn't be able to do it. So that's why it failed. I wasn't able to focus on something without my mind just going to side rails or start to daydream. So it was very, very difficult. I tried that, I think, half a year after this, the fall of 2024. Again, it worked for a week, but then, if I remember correctly, I took it back after that. And I don't remember any other time, but now I'm doing it again. When was the last time I did? Last week I made last vlog. And now it will work because I have done all the groundwork. One of the biggest reasons for not doing vlogs anymore, those long yapping sessions, is simply I don't have much to think about anymore. I have cleared my life, this reality, my life view. It's done. It's just, there's nothing to do. I have a lot of leftover feelings and habits of trying to find meaning or think about philosophy in my life. So it's odd that I would have those kind of instincts that, hey, now is the time to think about my life. But then I realize, wait, or I remember that I have nothing to think about, that the only thing I can do is start doing and not planning. But the infrastructure for those tasks is just huge. For years I have built those habits of planning and considering life as this mystery, magic even. But then now I don't have that. There is nothing to think about. The only thing I can do is work, start doing. But it takes time to change the mind. I discussed it here. Or discuss something else, but this explains it very well also, that just changing how the mind works, the connections, it takes time, and there are so many of them. Yeah. So right now I'm developing each day, that's clear, but I don't know if I'm developing myself fast enough. Or okay, I know I'm not, that I could do more, but it's just reality that my mind receives too much happiness signals that it doesn't raise its consciousness. My brain is happy because my life is perfect already. So I suffer from lack of motivation, but also I haven't changed the system in my brain that if someone tries to give me motivation or direction, I immediately reject that because I know better what to do with my time, with my life. That's an excuse of sorts, but it's also something I don't think I can escape right now, because I'm already doing, but maybe not the quickest way, but still I'm developing, I'm realizing these things, at least at some point. But yeah, so I made a huge step from that state, that safety, and right now I'm living sort of without very safe place. The aim, of course, is to change it so the new thinking, the new place, just thinking in my head, will become the new safe place. It has been interesting that I can visualize this somehow maybe. There are 3 states. This is state where I talk my thoughts out loud. log. This is the kind of the highest state that I have had. And then I have this state, thinking inside my head, normal thinking. And then I have the last state of, or which is less conscious state, most doing. So most of my life happens here. I'm not consciously doing something. I'm just automatically browsing or doing work even. I'm not that conscious about everything. Maybe this could be described as reactive thinking. I'll put it here. That if I read this, I'm just reacting. I'm not consciously trying to seek information. I'm rather just by habit reading and then reacting if something happens. I automatically will have, go away. I will have thoughts. Thoughts just appear. Some ideas pop up and so on, but it's not conscious thinking, it's reactive. So that's the lowest state. How it has been is that I'm mostly here, and then I get an idea that, hey, I want to think something. I stay at this level very short amount of time. I go here. I wait. So if I'm in a tram or in a bus and I want to think, I wait until I get home so I can do this. I can start the vlog and then I can start yapping. But I could do this while I was anywhere. But I don't. I don't think some topics just by myself without talking aloud. Because I have so strong habit of doing vlogs, over 4,000 hours, 4 years. It's not some small amount by any means. Is it still over 2 hours on average each day? Something crazy. So it's a big thing to completely remove this. And especially last week when it was strongest, right after it, the next days, I might have a sense that, hey, I want to think about my life. I want to change something. It might come from here, then I go here, and everything is like normal, okay? I need to change something. I get an instinct to start this, to wait until I get here. But then I remember, hey, I can't go here anymore. So I get confused that, wait, what? So I need to do this now. And that has been one development that I have done, trying to just be okay with the fact, understanding that I will never go back to this. Making streams, so doing this that I'm now doing, this is another, it's not the same, but it is kind of a loophole that I will accept forever, that when I talk on stream or with people, that is this. that it's a way to think by talking aloud. Even if I'm in a conversation with someone, I'm using that opportunity to think most often. But this is a loophole, and it's a different thing than a personal vlog, because here I don't need to think about what to say, or although right now I don't really think about this being a stream because no one is watching this, at least on live. I forget that it was. I kind of forget that I'm doing it live now, but still it adds something. It's not as easy as it would just start a vlog on any moment, 10 minutes. I wouldn't need to be on my computer and wearing this VR headset, although I could take this off right now even. I won't. So yeah, stream is kind of a loophole, but not really. I'm not covering very personal things here, and also I don't want to, or I can't just continue something I have thought about for years or months, that I have done 20 hours in my personal vlog. I can't just continue that. Hey, I mentioned this. I feel that because I'm doing a stream, I should try to explain things properly, that hey, you don't know about this, so I will explain where this idea came from and the whole thing. I can't just continue what I did privately, because no one would get the preferences and so on. So that's a huge thing, that I don't have access to all that material that's already there. So this has been a huge thing. I haven't been that successful on it, but one step at a time. Still every day development, good. How I know there is development or there hasn't been development is just feeling. It needs to feel difficult. If I haven't felt difficult, feeling anxious, or that pressure coming from my brain that wants to avoid changing, then I haven't developed that day. So it's similarly that I haven't physically exercised if I don't feel any soreness, or I haven't done any movements in the day. So I can notice it, and it needs to be, or it is clear, yeah, it is clear whether I have developed or not. Another thing that I have done is, maybe I probably mentioned this, yes. So soon, in 3 minutes, I will have the last alarm go off today. If my day starts at here, 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. and ends, well, it ends here. And let's put, I don't know, 10 o'clock, 3 o'clock, something like this. I'm used to doing just a small segment, small amount a few things in a day. I wake up, then something happens, maybe I eat and watch some entertainment, and then I might do something, probably just yapping on my private vlog. And then suddenly I need to eat again, watch some more entertainment, then I might yap more, and I don't know. But the main point is that I do only certain amount of things in a day. That there is strong habit around 9 o'clock that at this hour I have these options. They are different than what I had here, because here I feel that, hey, I have the whole day, I can do everything. And here I feel, hey, it's evening, I can't work anymore. Something crazy. Just by habit, I have this. So let's say 5 different things I do in a day. I have lived like this, but if I consider control, I have the visual here, I have mentioned that. Controlling life, this is, yeah, now was the last alarm. This is how I have lived. And control sessions, I have talked about them a few months ago and mentioned probably a week ago or two. I tried those, tried to start them again. I haven't continued control sessions, but this idea is that if I don't have conscious moments in my days, I can't have control. That's period, because what control is the ability to change my actions, not based on environment, but based on my beliefs inside my head. That's control. That someone else is not going to influence everything that I do. I have some control over them. Of course, that control has been built by environment. So no one has free will, but we still can enjoy the illusion of control. Anyways, that's control, and it needs to be there. There needs to be conscious moments in my days where I make decisions, see the reality, what it is, make decisions, and those decisions work, or I execute them. And this has been my idea, that at least this is the minimum, that at least I would, actually at least one control session a day, or a week. That's less control, but still maybe there isn't a minimum. Or minimum is that there needs to be control sessions, but I have planned that 2 control sessions in a day. That's good mid ground, not too difficult, shouldn't take more than maybe 10 minutes if I'm efficient, maybe even less in total, but most likely more than half an hour at least a day. But yeah, control sessions at least this amount, but the vision that I have had for over a year, maybe over 2 or 3 years, has been very different from this life and what I try to visualize here as well. My vision has been this, that I have the timeline, same timeline, but instead of feeling that, hey, if I think about my day at this point, before going to sleep, I would feel that, okay, I did few things in this day. There was this segment, okay. But what I want to do, what I want to live is like this. Instead of having just a few things, my life would be just one small task after another. There is a huge contrast here. And why do I want this? Well, it's part of this, having control. That maybe each of these could be their own session, or maybe in each of these moments I would be conscious, but it's not mandatory. But if I think about productivity, if I start reading some book, I read 1 hour. How efficient was that? What if I did that only 15 minutes, but instead try to read faster, try to understand more? I would use more energy, but that 15 minutes would be the same as 30 minutes non-efficiently. What if I did 15 minutes or those intense sessions after each other, and after reading I would do something else? So becoming more productive, it's not worth studying a language 2 hours each day for a week compared to 5 minutes a day for a year. It's basic knowledge that humans need sleep to learn, to remember, and you can't really learn that quickly or that efficiently. It needs discipline, control to do that for a year each day and concentrate on that 5 minutes. But it is much more productive. And that is really the case in everything else as well. That if I aim for productivity, this makes sense. When coding, developing something, so many times when I take a break, I suddenly realize, hey, I could do this that way. Or I'm trying to debug and I go to the bathroom and realize, hey, actually that's the problem. So instead of doing that debugging 2 hours, I could just do little things and develop faster. And this idea, why am I trying this right now, is connected to this change. That, as I explained, I have a lot of habits of doing this. This has been my safe place. This represents the long sessions that I start yapping like this stream, now over 3 hours. Is it productive? No. but as I pointed out here, I don't have content anymore what I will go through. If I continued this, I would just go circles, and because I realize it's impossible to do that. So the only solution is here. But now I face the problem that was also here. Hey, I don't have anything to think about. I can't escape real world and doing, developing. So I started to do that, but those tasks are all very small. It's like reading a language or studying a language, learning a language. That if you think about it logically, how much should you spend? Or try that in a week, or spread it to a whole year. Spreading it makes sense. But that can be applied to so many different other tasks as well. And all the thoughts, decisions that I need to make, they will happen here from this moment on, because I don't have any more this. And they will happen quickly. How long do I need to figure out what is the perfect day for tomorrow? Well, it won't happen because I don't have motivation, unfortunately, to do so probably. But if I did that, the thought process would be very simple. That I just think about options, and then I kind of reactively already can point, okay, I want to do that, at least these two. Then, okay, let's put first thing here, first thing, second here, third, fourth, so on. And then do or add some language learning, speed reading, communication skills, teaching skills, storytelling skills, exercises here, and here. I could plan my day very quickly in like 5 minutes. And then go away from this to here. Start doing. So what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't make sense making long sessions anymore in any productive task. And because I have less and less excuses to cover something for very long. It's not possible to continue this way. I have nothing here to fill these large segments and the habit of just doing a few things. Watching a movie, that's an exception. But even that, I could do that once a week maybe. I haven't watched movies for so long time. So it's very interesting point in my life to realize that I don't have any necessary topics that will take that long, because I can start doing so quickly. And of course, this transition is now the biggest developments, and it will take time. But what it practically is, I know what to do. Immediately I will know, okay, I will analyze this feeling, what is my vision again. When I get here, I know what to do. It's not difficult. And as I said, it's so quick. Then I'm again at the point where what should I do next? It's not my safe place yet. Currently, I don't have a stable ground to stand on, but it's okay. For some people, losing that safety would be a problem, but I think in my case, because I have cleared or kind of every unpleasant thing from my life, unpleasant experience, anxiety, because I don't have attackers, I don't need defenses. So having a safe place is not even that necessary, but it needs to be there, or some place, some state is safer than others, is more common. This will be that. It's still not. So if I ask myself subconsciously, what is my safe place, I wouldn't say this. But the timer, it starts from 9 o'clock. I will have an alarm go off, and then from that moment on, every 15 minutes. And the last one is 23:45. So now it turns midnight. But I don't have the alarm here, because at this point I should go to sleep. But I'm not living my most productive life yet. I'm getting there. And this alarm, the idea, of course, in the perfect world would be that my consciousness rises every time. Hey, there's an alarm. I realize it, that my consciousness rises and I can be in control. But of course, that's not what will happen, or what is happening. What is happening is that just in a few days I'm used to those alarms, but still they raise the consciousness a little bit every time, and many times properly, that I started to wonder, hey, should I do this? If I'm in middle of starting a longer session of entertainment or something, I do wake up and realize, should I do something else? And currently, well, earlier, I had many moments when I feel that, hey, I have done enough already. I want to rest, but there's nothing to do. I don't want to watch entertainment, and I can't go here. So a lot, I'm just confused. I have these habits, say go there, go there, go there. Then when I go there, I get told, hey, go back. You can't go here anymore. So a lot of confusion, but right now it's getting I'm getting used to this already. Used to the fact that from this moment on in my life, mostly I am living a very different way. This completely reshapes my living experience. How I feel time, think about time, plan my days. Just getting this out, getting rid of this is just so huge. And starting to build my own thing here, or continuing building it. It changes the living experience completely. And I'm still getting used to this idea, not in practice yet, but just in idea. And that's the simple way of changing yourself. Starts from the idea, or that something is problem, or there is an idea, hey, I want this, and then you figure out what needs to change, and that kind of becomes the problem. Maybe it's not a problem, but it's not just worse alternative to the better idea. Then you have two states, where you are, what you want, and then you figure out how to get there. It's so simple. And right now I'm still in a phase where the vision I haven't grasped that when I think about this life, I don't know how to think about it. Actually, right now it has updated already. Subconsciously, I do feel that, of course, I'm living like this. So I'm getting used to it. It takes a few days for me to get used to something that would have been so huge change a year ago. Now it takes 2 days, and then I forgot that I ever lived like this. I ever did this. But it is developing a bit further. And the next plan idea is to really focus on my mind. That this is where all the possibilities are. That I'm getting used to just not going with my old habits, doing way more, and then using my head. Because here I do yap less, I would say, than on stream here that I'm doing, but still I yap a lot. I explain things like I'm explaining here, but just privately. That takes time a lot. That's why this is so quick compared to this. But this has its value, that by stretching some idea, some process, I can get more ideas out of it, more possibilities. Because this is so quick, it doesn't leave that room for questions, like doing a talk and having a lot of room for questions and further conversations and so on. And this is just 1.5 minute pitch without any questions. That, hey, that's over, let's move on. Super weird. But yeah, I'm very much used to this already. It is the pressure right now, or okay, has been. My internal pressure for development is not huge. still there. I'm doing daily developments, but I'm not feeling it outside. And it's time to end it. From a transition from making high level plans and thinking on while doing a blog to doing it in my mind. Normal thinking and using IRAC. And then the other one was transition from chill tempo life to fragmented small chunk living experience. Okay, that's it.